Hi, welcome to Sage and Brush Watercolors again. I'm Tom, and before I forget it, if you haven't checked out my first video, you might want to look at that again, where I lay the foundation. Today's memo is, there are no shoulds to creativity. It's a nice idea to just relax while you're dancing with watercolors. Love everything in your painting and in your life that you judge to be a mistake, because mistakes like that one can be our greatest teachers. Now, how about we do some painting? Today's lesson, I'm going to show you how to paint. It's actually going to be 3 lessons. I'm going to use this photograph, which is actually a picture of one of my paintings, for a reference. And today we're just going to work on the sky part. And I'll probably use a brush a little less big than the one I just used on the memo. And you'll notice this yellow part. That is just masket that you can get to protect the areas that you don't want to paint just yet, because we're going to be working from the back forward. Okay, everything's all set up here. I have my palette of various warm and cool colors. The warm colors are the colors closest to the sun. And first thing I'm going to do with the wide brush, I have a wide brush, medium, and a smaller brush, is I'm going to just lay the water across here. And I'm using Arch's 300 weight, which is a very heavy paper. Now you can see I'm really letting the paper absorb all this water. And I always keep a paper towel handy. Now I want this to just sit there just for a few seconds before I start adding some color. And I might not keep exactly to these colors, but I do want to use some light colors in the background there. So we'll just put some light red in here, maybe a little stronger. This is really strong here. Now this paper is so thick, and you might be using a thinner paper, but this paper is so thick that when it dries, the colors are not going to appear as bright as when I first put them down. So we can put some of this in here. And maybe another warm color, yellow ochre, is a warm color we can put in here. Now, I also, in this picture, have a pond, and the pond should reflect the same colors. So we put in a little bit of this red. I'll post on the video what colors exactly I'm using. So we put in some of this, and I'm purposely angling, just like in this picture, things toward the house. That's like a subliminal clue for the viewer, pointing them to the center of interest, which is right here. Now, so I have some light colors in here, not too strong, because I'm always keeping in mind 3 things when I paint: color, composition, and contrast. So there's color, and there's going to be some, and here's the composition, there's going to be some contrast to that sky when I later put in some dark trees. So I don't want the sky to be too dark. Now I'm just going to put in some clouds, basically, in the winter sky. And when I mix paints, I can't really tell you exactly how I do it. It's more or less an intuitive thing with me, and my hand just takes me around to different places. But that's just a matter of learning and experimenting. Go put in a couple, and because I let the water sit just for a few seconds, it's going to bleed, but not all over the place. I'll put in maybe some purple up here. Okay, so that's that's a winter sky that's aimed, kind of pointing at the house. And let's put a couple other loose. Okay, now I want to put the same kind of blue across the pond. Now, again, while I'm wiping the table, it's kind of starting to dry just a little bit. Remember, I'm using a real heavy paper here. So now is a great time, right about now, I'm going to put in some these distant trees here. And it's really kind of a dark, just a dark brown. I don't like it to be too cool, so I'll warm up the colors a little bit. And that's just a matter of going like this and this, you know, and see that it's going to bleed right up, even though this table is slightly angled. And then if I want to make them a little more interesting, I can put in these dabs. You know, just dab it. If you just dab it with a medium-sized brush like this, it's gonna look soft. It's gonna bleed like this and look soft. Now the same with the pond. I'm gonna just run this to reflect the distant trees, and it makes a nice water effect. So that's the pond. And if I want to put, you can put darker over lighter with watercolor. See, there's a little so-called mistake in the sky, but it's no problem, as long as that's all still wet. So that's basically what we have here for today's lesson, and we'll let all that dry. Well, that's all we're going to do for now for today's lesson, and I'm going to just let this dry, and the next time on my next video I'm going to show you how to remove this masket and maybe apply a little more to some other areas, and then we'll paint the houses. And then the third final one we'll put in the snow. At the end of this video I'll post a list of the colors I used and supplies. And if you like this video and the demonstrations, please press or click on like and the subscribe button, and that'll enable you to know when my next lesson's coming out. Thank you.